Good morning and welcome to Teach Me Bees. I'm Dave Wescott and this is Scott the Beekeeper.
Hey, good morning.
Today we're talking about winterization, and man, is it cold out there.
Yes.
It is cold.
If you're in the Pacific Northwest, the weather has shifted.
It is cold.
The frost is out. The snow will be here soon. The Christmas vibes are ever present, even though it's not quite Thanksgiving when we're recording this.
I love a winter cold blast.
Why is that? Is it refreshing?
It's crisp.
Okay.
It is refreshing. It makes me want to run naked through the fields.
Like a streaker at a football game, huh?
I've never seen one of those. Does that only happen at Ducks games?
I've seen a lot of soccer games where that's happened. By seen, I mean I've seen replays. I've not been at the game and seen it. Yeah. Not in person.
You know, I heard that yesterday, I heard that the Ducks are going to get a second crack at the Huskies.
If the Huskies win against the Beavers, yes.
So you may get revenge.
Yeah, if we both beat the Beavers, then we both get revenge.
You both beat the Beavers.
Well, if Washington wins, they're in, and it doesn't matter what happens with the Cougs. Although they'll probably beat the Cougs because the Cougs are not good right now. If we were to lose this game before our Oregon State game, then it would matter, but we're going to win. It's Arizona State. They're not very good. So there's like a 92% chance we'll rematch.
Is ranked number 23, aren't they?
No, they've won 3 games. They're like 3-6, 3-7.
Oh. So the Arizona State is bad.
Yeah, they're not very good this year.
And so that's who you're playing?
Uh-huh.
And you have to beat them?
Yes.
And
it would be preferable.
And then you have to beat the Beavers?
If we beat Arizona State, it doesn't matter what happens with the Beavers. But for pride's sake, because the conference is imploding on itself and where everybody's going to different conferences, for pride, we want the W over the Beavers. Let's go Ducks.
So you may get a second crack at the Dogs.
Yeah. I like our chances. I really like our chances.
Well, it's we may have to raise the stakes on the bet.
Okay. Like a double or nothing? Like a triple or nothing?
I don't know. I mean, we're not there yet, but when we get closer, we got to see what happens.
Stay tuned for that. See what happens here, folks.
It's getting really exciting. Anyways, winter. It's cold out. It is really cold out. So, streaking. I don't know how we got on the topic of streaking. I feel like I'm hanging out with Will Ferrell in the movie Old School, and he's going streaking through the quad. If any of you have,
it's a little bit of a throwback.
I wonder what happens if he got stung on his rump.
By a bee, it would definitely hurt. A wasp could be multiple stings. You know,
a wasp could give him multiple stings.
I hope we've learned at this point, a wasp can sting you multiple times. That's why they suck. We don't like them. Or a bee, just one time.
While we're talking about getting stung, I watched a video of an Asian wasp.
Okay.
Have you seen these things?
I may have. Are they the big ones?
They're enormous.
Are they black with an orange head?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a video. That thing's like the size of my finger.
Yeah. You know what it did?
What did it do?
It ate the arms off a praying mantis, like it was fighting a praying mantis, and it literally ripped the arms off one by one, and then it ate its head. It ripped its head off, and it literally ate the head of the praying mantis.
If you're the praying mantis, what do you do in that situation? You're screwed. You hope you got a posse of mantises back there?
I don't know. It was on Insect Wars. Somehow I got hooked up with this show, Insect Wars.
Insect Wars. Okay, I'll have to check it out.
And this bee just demolished this praying mantis. And I've also seen videos where the praying mantis wins.
Okay.
So it's kind of like they're rivals.
Mother Nature dueling it out.
Yeah, they're rivals of some sort, but anyways, winterization. We don't want to get too far off topic here, but we do want to have a good time. So winterization of the bees, of the hives, this is really critical. You've got a great set of facts rolled out here. Talk to us a little bit about this.
Yeah, so it's important to know there's a seasonal cycle when it comes to bees, beekeeping, honeybees, especially in the Northwest or where places where your weather changes drastically. And so your typical honey flow and lots of bees and stuff, the things you think of when it comes to bees are probably like March or April through August, September. That's when a lot of the bees are active and out. But then you kind of make a pivot depending on exactly where you're at. For us here in Western Washington, October begins to really make that pivot where it starts to get cold. And so before it gets cold, you need to make plans to care for your bees. What are you going to do this season to care for your bees? A few things to consider. What is the strength of your hive? Is it a weak hive? Because if it's a weak hive, it may not make it. Numbers, that's a big one. As you can just kind of tell.
Do you get in there and start counting the bees one by one?
One by one, baby. Takes me 6 hours per hive. Just kidding. No, you can kind of tell by their activity level as the season winds down. Like, okay, how active are they? What are they doing? There becomes a point, and you can pick up your boxes and weigh them. I've heard that it should be about 100, 120 pounds by the time winter starts. That means they have enough honey stored up to last them the winter. If your box feels light, either they didn't produce the honey or they've already ate it all. Like they kind of panicked and ate it all. So then you need to supplemental feed them. So not liquid. One of those is sugar water, but don't use liquid in the winter. It'll freeze. And if bees fall in there, they'll freeze and die. So it's just not a good thing to do. So when it comes to winter, you want to use granulated sugar or pollen patties, things that are solid-based that they can eat kind of at their own leisure. And so you'll put those on the top ends of the hive, under the cover box. Wow. That's just a way to feed them during the winter.
Because they got to keep eating.
Yeah, because they don't really fly out for nectar. There's not really pollen and nectar for them to go get. So they don't fly out, one, for that. Two, it's cold. Like, it's cold for us. It's cold for them. You know, they need to live at like a constant 92 to 95 degree temperature. And so they don't want to come out.
They like it warm.
Yeah. They'll come out maybe occasionally to relieve themselves, go to the bathroom because they don't want to do that in the hive. But that's about it. They really aren't going to be active in the winter.
So bees are potty trained.
Somehow, some way, they are. I don't understand it, but
that is amazing.
Do they have little bee porta potties that they go to?
Yeah, it's called your yard.
They are
good to know.
They are painted
green. Do they
green.
clean up after themselves?
You know what? I would hate to see the bee that went to the bathroom on the flower and then pollinated it.
That's Mother Nature right there, man.
That's Mother Nature. You know, you mentioned they like it 92 to 95 degrees.
Yeah.
That reminded me of the movie Some Like It Hot. Have you seen the movie Some Like It Hot?
No. What's
Ralph,
it about?
Have you seen the movie Some Like It Hot?
It's been years, but yes. It's like a classic.
It's an older movie.
Okay.
Do you and your wife watch movies?
Yeah, mostly TV shows, but we watch movies, yeah.
What's your favorite movie?
Of all time?
Sure.
The Lion King. It's got a sentimental value.
Are you kidding me? The Lion King?
No, it's a fantastic movie. And the soundtrack's awesome. Now, if we want to go as an adult, I can like things that have been out the last 15 years, I could maybe have a different conversation. But all time in my life, The Lion King's the GOAT.
Lion King, wow. Is the cartoon version or the adult?
Absolutely the cartoon. Absolutely.
The cartoon version.
They did a good job with the remake, though. Good job, Disney.
You know, this brings up such an interesting topic that when I was 10 years old, my dad said, "You're a man. No more watching cartoons."
Oh, that's harsh.
I never watched another cartoon in my life past the age of 10.
Until you had kids?
I still hate watching cartoons. So I'm going to be honest with you. I absolutely hate all children's shows and all cartoons.
You're missing out on a great piece
I would rather
of content.
Die than
That's
watch
extreme.
Cartoons. You know, but let me tell you what I do love about my kids watching cartoon movies.
Yeah, let's be positive here.
Here's the thing. One, there's a movie called The Bee Movie.
That's a good one.
Which I'm a big fan of.
Yep.
Because we are bee people. So that movie...
Watch it if you haven't.
That movie moved up the list.
Okay.
But here's an awesome thing. I love to come home and my kids are so excited to, you know, watch a kid show. The Incredibles.
Okay. Solid.
I mean, the Shrek movies are, I abhor them. I mean,
Yeah, they get worse as they go.
they are just rough. But anyways, regardless, I don't want to hate on anybody who likes cartoons, because if you like cartoons, good for you. I love you. Have a good day. At the end of the day, for me, I love this because it's like, what are we going to watch? And we'll scroll through Disney Plus and we'll find some cartoon. And it's a perfect opportunity for me to sit back in the chair. Lights are low in the theater. The kids are watching the show, and I go to sleep. And it's a perfect opportunity.
Do they know this?
For a 90 minute to 2 hour nap. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they don't know that that's the purpose.
Oh, okay.
But they just think, oh, Dad's tired. He's falling asleep again. And I'm just like conking, getting some Z's, having an amazing time relaxing and resting. And they're having an amazing time
so you paid
watching
for like a $16 nap.
I have fallen asleep in the movie theater.
Okay.
Yes, that's true. Like we went to see Super Pets or Super Dogs or something like that.
I don't know.
It's a movie about for kids.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in the theater, and this was a perfect time for me to actually take a nap in the theater. Yes, I will take a nap in the theater.
Okay. We all know this now. That's kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
Do bees nap?
Yeah, they sleep.
Bees sleep.
I believe about 5 to 6 hours a day.
Do bees hibernate?
Not like a bear. No, they don't like sleep for like months and just live off their fats and whatever. No, but their hibernation, if you will, is when they go pretty much dormant in the winter.
So this winterization thing is actually a really big deal.
Yeah, it is. It is a really big deal, especially for your like average backyard beekeeper. Someone who's not on the commercial side of things. Like, you have to know how to care for your bees over the winter, how to do some prep work, because you're not moving them to a better location, a more desirable location. Like commercial beekeepers that have hundreds or thousands of hives, they'll move them to a warmer climate. For example, I know beekeepers in the South, kind of in the Carolinas and different stuff. They'll take their bees to Florida for the winter. We are going to be taking our bees long term to California. We'll also do some pollination contracts. And so commercially, you're going to be able to move your bees, take them, but the backyard beekeeper, no, you got to care for them where they're at.
So backyard beekeepers report up to 60% hive loss in the winter.
Yeah.
That is a huge number.
And you can lose entire hives, like maybe if you have, let's say you have 5 hives. One is perfectly fine. 2 lose, 10, 20%. But then you lose like an entire hive or half of another hive. Like statistically, you might be around that half or 50%. But one was great and another one completely failed.
What are some of the things? Why does that happen? Why would one do great and one go just you lose completely?
There's a few reasons. You may not specifically know, but one could be the quality of the queen, like how old she is. The older she is, the less likely she is to be a good queen over the winter and come out strong. So there's a chance that something happens to her while the hive's in there. They run out of food. They starve. One of the biggest things is the backyard beekeeper doesn't give them supplemental food, doesn't realize they need food, and they die. They just starve to death.
Okay. I'm taking you on another path here.
A lot of ways.
Starving is horrible. Have you ever missed a meal?
Yeah, I've missed meals.
You fast?
Yeah.
When you fast, what's the longest time you ever fasted for?
Like 36 hours.
36 hours. That's a pretty good size fast. So I was dating this girl 25 years ago. This is not the girl I'm married to today.
Okay. Good clarification.
That's right. And she had a bird. And
Did you eat the bird?
No, I did not eat the bird. I'm not a cat. My name is not Sylvester. And although tempting, I guess, chicken wings, I don't know. Bird wings, I don't know. But so she's got this bird She decides she's going to go party for the weekend.
Okay. Sure.
She goes out
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Guess what happens when she
It's
comes back on
exhausting.
Monday?
The bird didn't make it.
The bird died. The bird starved to death in the bird cage because this chick, I won't mention her name, went out and partied all weekend.
She didn't leave enough food in there?
And neglected the bird. No. And I was like, how can you do this? Like, what kind of human being are you?
Yeah, that's messed up.
That lets a bird starve to death in a cage. I mean,
No party's that good.
This is horrible, right? So I said, listen, because of this, I can no longer see you. I can no longer.
Were you
I
looking
can no
for an out,
longer
though?
communicate. I don't know, not necessarily. I mean,
Okay.
you know, I think that's a big issue. Like letting a bird starve to death. Like, I mean, this is a serious thing.
What are
Like,
you going to do with kids?
I mean, what are you going to do with kids? What are you going to do with me? You know what I mean?
That's right.
Like, I mean, no, but it's just like, it's responsibilities, right?
For sure.
Like, I'm a responsible person, you know, like I'm going to go to work on time. I'm going to, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If I'm going to say I'm going to get back to you, I'm going to get back to you. If I commit to something, one of the things I teach my kids is like, hey, if you committed to go to friend X's house, but then friend Y calls, but you like friend Y better. No, you're still going to friend X.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be committed and responsible for the thing. So, like, early on in a relationship, like, if you kill a bird because you were out hanging with your girls or whatever, you know, like, we got a serious malfunction here. You couldn't swing by the crib and drop a bird bucket in there. Or you couldn't drop some seed in there. You know,
What, it would take you 4 minutes? Like you couldn't feed the bird?
you couldn't feed. So, you know, this is a big problem for me. But that just reminded me of that, where sometimes backyard beekeepers, they may not be paying attention to the food. They may not drop a pollen patty. They may make one of those mistakes. But I mean, you think about it; those bees are in there suffering.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, they're not feeling good.
Yeah. And the thing is with the cycle of a bee colony is their population drops when it comes, I don't know, September-ish. They really begin to decline down. And that's because the queen stops producing as much brood. Brood is, as we've learned, baby bees.
And they kill
Right?
the men.
We like to call it bee caviar.
Bee caviar, if you
kill
want.
the men.
Yep, the drones get exiled.
They kill the men.
And we're still not over that. And so there's less of them in the hive to begin with, which is good from the sense of like there's less mouths to feed, but the hive is also weaker at the same time.
So the big tip is
there could be a sickness or disease that you don't know about either,
Yeah.
you know? And so sometimes that's just the way it is.
So we want to be, just for the beekeepers, just for the folks on the call, like, we want to switch to solid foods once we get below 60 degrees.
Yeah.
Right? That's the big tip
Yep.
for today. Well, there's been a lot of great tips. I mean, the other thing
And if you're in the Pacific Northwest, that probably shifts around September, October, you know, like keep your eye on the weather.
yeah, you got to be paying attention. And then, you know, you don't want to inspect your hives in the winter either.
No,
You know, you
because
don't want to open them up.
because it's so cold and there's a 40 or more degree temperature change between the hive temperature and the outside temperature, you know.
Yeah.
It could be 70 degree change, you know, it could be a lot. Do not.
And moisture is a
That's
big
why you
deal
don't really-
too, right? We don't want moisture in the hive.
Yeah, and like the reason why sometimes people lose their hives is because you don't really do inspections over the winter. You might, I've seen some videos where there's like little holes that you can put a Agorafly plug into, and then you can like peek in there to see
Yeah.
if there's any activity. But it's just a peek. Like you're not really opening and looking and tearing apart the hives. Like
I can just imagine you in there with your eye pinned against this little hole, and
Careful.
a bee comes in and stings it.
yeah. So taking your eye, that would suck.
Would it take your eye?
Probably not take your eye. Your eye, I don't know how you would swell up. I don't know how that would go. Don't do that.
I mean, what if it got the retina?
You know what? These are questions that I don't have answers to, and we
We
can
gotta
bring
Google this, Ralph.
We could bring in a doctor or something like
Ralph?
that.
What happens when you get stung
Yeah,
in the
I'm on
eye
it.
retina? Can we
Checking
get a
on it
report
now.
back on this? So
Be careful.
you're just sitting there like this.
Yeah. So, but like, you'll have a entrance reducer put on there, or you should have an entrance reducer.
Sometimes they make their own entrance reducers.
Yeah, they might block it off themselves, but it's always helpful as a beekeeper to just do that.
Yeah.
And you can home make your own, or you can order
We
some.
did that in our hives.
Yeah, and so partially it's to keep out other animals, insects, but probably more so than anything, it's to keep the weather out, keep the rain and wind out. You know, if it's windy and rainy, they won't really fly out because they might get lost and not be able to get back.
Some people are using a screened bottom board.
Yeah.
How is that? What is that? What tip are we giving our folks on the call here about that?
Yeah, those are one of the things that help with ventilation and moisture, like counteracting the moisture that could build up. You know, some places are going to be more susceptible to snow, and snow is going to create more moisture, obviously.
Right.
Other places might just be cold the whole time and maybe not as much moisture. Is going to be dry, a drier winter. So, and moisture really, it could harm your bees. It could drown them, if your hive. So a ventilation board or a screen on the bottom will help with the ventilation, but
it's
also
really helpful.
Potentially tilting your hives. Not a lot. You don't want them like everything's going to fall out.
Not like a race car.
But instead of being flat, tilt the back up
not
a
like
few
Simba
degrees.
falling off a cliff.
Yeah, not like that. So that if water does get in, it will drain out the front entrance. And that's
a good tip.
That's a tip. Whether that's put them on a little bit of a slant or you slide a piece of wood underneath, whatever it is to make it so that there's just a slight tilt. The water could drain out if water were to get in there,
I got a question that's totally back to Simba. Do you like giraffes?
My nephew really does.
I like giraffes.
They're okay.
Giraffes are kind of cool. But I saw this video of a lion attacking a giraffe.
That'd go either way.
And this giraffe is huge, right? So this lion's coming. I'm thinking of Simba right now. He's running full speed. He jumps on the back leg of the giraffe, and the giraffe does this forward motion and throws the lion. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I bet the lion was, I'll get a meal somewhere else.
So what's your favorite character in The Lion King?
Oh, that's tough. Of course, Simba's great, but probably Timon and Pumbaa.
Timon and Pumbaa?
They are great. Yeah, there's great characters all around.
What is it that you love about The Lion King?
It's a great story. It's a great soundtrack. It has sentimental value to me as I grew up. But I love the coming of age story, even though life didn't give you a perfect way to go about that.
The story of The Lion King is basically Simba is the junior king.
Yeah.
He's the up and comer. His dad gets killed
by his uncle,
the bad lion. He is then ostracized, has to live out in the woods. He has two friends, a flea and a tick, right?
Sure, something like that. Yep.
Or what are they?
A meerkat and warthog.
A bearcat and a warthog?
Meerkat.
A meerkat?
Yeah. Yeah.
A meerkat. Okay, a meerkat and a warthog. They go on a journey.
Yeah, a magnificent journey.
Magnificent journey.
Yep.
You're singing the whole time.
Exactly. Exactly. We see him age up about 3 years.
Oh, so he becomes a full-size lion.
He's a big boy. Yeah. He's a full-grown lion at the end.
Okay, and then at some point they get attacked by hyenas.
That happens earlier in the movie.
Okay.
And at the very end.
Okay. So there's a war with hyenas. He wins.
Of course.
But he has a girlfriend too that helps him, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yep.
Nala. And then they fight off Shere Khan. Right?
I think you're thinking Jungle Book, Shere Khan.
Jungle Book. I love Jungle Book.
Scar's who they fight off.
Okay, they fight off Scar in this movie. So they fight off Scar. He must have a big scar on his face.
He does. Yep.
Yeah, so he's got, and then he beats Scar.
Well, it comes out that Scar is the one who killed Mufasa. No one knew that. That was a hidden little secret. Only Simba knew.
Okay.
And so then there's a big fight between the lions and hyenas. And who wins that fight?
The lions,
The
of
lions.
course. I love
the
lions.
That's right.
I actually love lions.
Okay, you're just hating on them today.
No. I'm not hating on them. Listen, there's no hating going on here.
He's
There's
hating on cartoons. There's a very
you know what?
big difference.
Let me tell you something. I'm not actually even hating on cartoons. I actually love cartoons. I think cartoons are a great way to tell stories. My childhood experiences just weren't the same as other people's. Like, my life was colored and affected by my parents. So
That's true.
like, you can say, oh man, Dave doesn't like cartoons, but I mean, at the end of the day, like, I don't have any issue with cartoons. The way that I was brought up was just to be anti-cartoon, which
Your dad had an issue with cartoons.
my dad had an issue with cartoons, which then, you know, like, I'm like 10 years old watching The Godfather, you know what I mean? Vito Corleone's, you know, whacking out the mob boss at 10 years old. I'm not getting these nurturing soundtracks. Like, the soundtrack.
No, you were not.
The soundtrack that runs through my mind is na 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 na.
Godfather is a good movie, though. I will
It
give
is a
that.
good movie.
It's a very good movie. It's
So
long.
you were
but it's
raised
good.
on Simba, and I was raised on Michael.
Yeah. Yep.
Just two different ways. So I'm not against it, but when that's beat into your head for so many years and you're not allowed to do it, like, I mean, it just, I don't know. It still doesn't sit right with me. Maybe I still want to make my dad happy. Maybe I have dad issues.
We're really getting somewhere here. Some father wounds.
Podcasting is therapy. This week
Podcasting
on
is
Teach
therapy.
Me Bees.
Teach me bees. But you know, but anyway, so the Lion King, it happens. It's a great story. It's a great soundtrack. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I really like that. So you know, as we bring this thing in for a landing, I think one of the important things to talk about just as winterization happens is testing and treating your hives for mites.
Yeah.
This is a big deal.
Yeah. So, and I'm not going to say I'm an expert on varroa mites by any means, but I understand a bit. And it's the number one pest issue or insect issue with honeybees,
It's a
bee
killer.
colonies. Yeah, they can decimate a hive, ruin your hive potentially. So typically, there's about two windows in the year where they are most likely to be a problem, and that is the spring, maybe April, May, kind of coming out of the winter, because they themselves, if they're still in your hive during the winter, are going to be dormant. You're not going to know it. The other window is like the August, September, probably a little bit more towards August, but like that transition from summer to fall.
So if they get in the hive and they're dormant in the hive and they're just hanging out in there,
yeah,
can you still save the hive in the spring?
Definitely. There's a pretty high likelihood that your hive will have mites. Your hive can live with mites. It's kind of how much. Like it could be a very, very low population of mites in their hive and a very low population of bees affected by the mites in your hive. Or it could be high. So there's different ways to do some testing. I would suggest watch YouTube on how to do that. Just check it out. But there are ways you can test with sugar with your bees. There's a method I saw where you put some bees in a jar and you put, I believe, water or maybe vinegar in there, and you shake it up, and then you can see you're killing these bees. But these are your test bees to find out if there are mites in there.
Sure.
And then you can see the mites on the bees.
They only live 45 days to 60 days anyways, so I'm probably taking those bees at like day 43.
You know, like if you kill 100 bees to find out if there are mites in your hive, that's not a big deal.
It's not like killing a bird.
No, I mean, make sure you don't grab the queen by accident. You know, be aware.
That would suck.
But yeah, so the mites from the beekeepers I've talked to and been learning from, like, it's most likely that they're probably in your hive. It's just kind of how much and what's the effect, because some mites have become resistant to the treatments that have been done to them over the years. And some are like they're in the genetic cycle more or less of the bees. And so
if you're infected, how do you get rid of them?
pray.
Is that true?
There's a few ways, and you can switch up your different treatments. So there's some that are like strips that you drop into the hive, which sometimes have been effective. There's others that are maybe more organic or natural ways. You can there's different essential oils I've heard that you can put around your hives that will like deter the mites away. So there's a variety of ways we can post some stuff in the show notes that would be probably helpful to people on ways to deal with mites.
Learn more about the
and we ourselves need to probably learn more about the effects of the mites too.
That. Yeah, the effects of mites are.
But it's one of those big
hardcore
things that it's best to just test and treat. I've heard a statistic from there's a video I watched with someone who's like a PhD who like studied mites and different stuff.
Yeah.
And in his survey that like up to I think 60% of backyard beekeepers didn't test for mites because either they thought it wasn't a problem or that their hives were resistant. Sometimes you'll buy bees from a supplier and they'll be labeled or suggested that they are mite resistant bees. There's no real way to prove that they're resistant. Like maybe they haven't been as affected and you raise them from this hive that hasn't been as affected and then you're going to sell that as a nuke hive, but you can't really prove that those bees are resistant. So I would caution anyone, if they were to buy bees that are mite resistant, don't expect them to be mite resistant.
It's like buying waterproof shoes with laces.
Yeah. Water can get in there.
I'm just saying. Like waterproof shoes with laces never work out. It's got to be a total encapsulated boot.
Yeah.
So basically what they're doing is they're giving you a little bit of false advertising.
Yeah, there's some false advertising, So be aware of those things. Test for mites before winter kicks in and after winter. And then, and one more helpful tip is watch out for mice too. They're probably not going to harm your bees, but they will try to get into the hive because it's a warm environment that's dry, safe from the weather.
I freaking hate mice.
They could potentially eat the honey. And the bees, because there's less of them on patrol throughout the box.
Right.
So the mice potentially...
We don't want no ratatouille.
Which is also why you put an entrance reducer up there. Ratatouille's great, but, that's the only good mice in the world. And so just be aware of mice. They're probably not a big threat.
Where does Ratatouille rank on your all-time favorite cartoons?
I don't know. It's outside the top 5. I'll tell you that
outside
much.
the top 5. All right. It didn't even make the cut.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, this has been a fantastic show. We have talked about a lot of really fantastic bee-related items. We've also talked about some non-bee-related items.
We've had some fun.
Because we're having fun. We're having a good time. We love the show. Listen, check out our website, Honey for Hope. Honey for Hope is all about taking the profits from honey and donating them to charitable causes that make the world a better place. So not only are we changing and helping the environment through pollination, changing and helping people's taste buds through the delivery of incredible honey, we are also helping those less fortunate by donating our profits to charity. Check us out, Honey for Hope. I'm Dave Wescott. Follow me on LinkedIn. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me on anywhere that's social. I'm hanging out, having a good time. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you back here next week. Thursday's the time. Every single week. Lock it in and break it off. Have a great afternoon. Thank you for joining me today, Scott.
Yeah, it's good to be here.